Hey, how's it going, everyone? Justin again, as always. Thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. I hope you're enjoying your weekend so far. Today we're going to go on a little bit of a walk around through Harbor Freight. It's been about a month or two since I've been in there, and they have their Memorial Day sales lot event taking place. I want to see what's new. I want to see what's on clearance, what's flashy, what's the bee's kneesy of kneesy. We're just going to take a look at a lot of things, and I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things in particular that I thoroughly enjoy as far as purchasing from Harbor Freight. We'll look at some other items that we didn't look at in previous videos. I'll share with you my thoughts, and I'll share with you the things that I got at the end of the video. Thanks as always for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so kicking it off with their specialty testers like oil, compression, leak down, vacuum. I actually own the fuel pump vacuum tester. I have that at work. I've owned the compression tester in the past until I bought the Craftsman. I'm not sure what I did with the other one. I just picked up the oil pressure tester today. I'm not sure about the diesel compression testers or their cylinder leak down tester. I've never used those two because I had purchased other products, but if you guys have used the diesel compression tester, feel free to share it. Is it any good? The master fuel pressure tester looks pretty legit. A little bit on the costly side, but I opened it up and took a look. It looked pretty nice. Noid light set, pretty cheap, but look, if you can't afford the OTC branded one or the one that I got, then you probably go with this route. It's nice to have that in your arsenal. I was told this thing's fairly cheap. Don't get that for a Freon sniffer. Some people like it, some don't. I've had good luck and bad luck with their AC manifold gauges, so I stepped mine up to a Cornwall set. But I just ordered a Freon sniffer from Master Cool off the gear wrench truck. I should see that here this next week. Manifolds though, I mean, it's hit and miss. If you have a problem, just take it back. I've used their vacuum pumps in the past. I had good luck with it. In fact, I think Eric the car guy has one and it's been phenomenal for him. You need some kind of jump pack. Look, you don't have to get a NOCO like I got, but these Viking ones might be worth their weight in gold, but you always want to have something like this in your car because you never know when you're going to be stranded. Their clearance section. Always take a look at their clearance section. You never know what you're going to find here. In fact, look what I found here. They had this Vulcan 200 MIG welder there, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry, TIG welder. And I was like, dude, that thing's nice. Looked like it had the whole complete thing. It was an open box special. I think they wanted like 800 bucks. I'm not sure if that's a killer deal or not. I didn't bother to check because I don't have a need for one, but it was cool to see that in the clearance aisle. I have these style of pipe wrenches, the aluminum ones. They've been phenomenal through the years. I've never had one break down on me, and they're fairly inexpensive. If you're pulling transmissions, especially on Dodge and Chrysler products, you're going to need to spread the frame at some point. This hydraulic frame spreader is absolutely amazing. We have one. I'm not sure if it's the Harbor Freight edition or a different brand, but we have one at work, and it's super nice to have, I'll tell you that much. So get one if you're looking for one. Impact sockets. I've got nothing but good things to say about their impact sockets. In fact, I have the 1/2-inch swivels. I've had those for a couple years now, I think, and they've been phenomenal. I've owned the deeps impacts, I've owned the shallow impacts, I've had their axle nut socket sets before. These impact sockets and extensions from Harbor Freight are absolutely amazing. In fact, I don't have the universal joints, but I do have the 3/8 extension impact set, and I use them at work all the time. They just keep taking the beating, which is more than I could say for the gear wrench 1/4-inch ones that I've had and the Craftsman 3/8 ones. So this kind of mask, you're going to want some kind of respirator at some point if you're doing grinding or anything like that, or you're spraying crap off of an engine. It's nice to have this so you don't breathe it in. They even got these cheap ones made out of paper that you can pick up. Their buffer. I know that no one's a real huge fan about the Drill Master stuff, but I was half tempted to pick this up today, and I was like, you know what, let me hold off. Let me see what you guys have to say about it. I've never owned this. I had a DeWalt in the past when I was a car detailer for Mazda. That thing was absolutely phenomenal until some jerk stole it out of my trunk when I was unloading groceries one day while I was living in Oregon. But look, they have the cutting pad, the buffing pad, and then they have the full-on shine polishing pad, which those pads are nice to have. They had different types of formulated cutting, polishing, and smoothing finish looks. If you want that showroom look, you could get it. There were Meguiar's that they sold there. I think overall I priced it out. If you were to buy all 3 pads, the Drill Master, buffer, and the chemicals, you're looking at about 165 bucks. To detail your car, you're looking at about 200 at a dealership. Alright, so their drill presses look pretty nice. I don't own this one. My dad actually gave me an old one that he has. I was actually interested to see if they sold the chuck there. I couldn't find the chuck there, but they did have some nice super tall stand-up ones, and they also had some nice ones for like your workbench. Look at this oil funnel. So if you want to lubricate your drill bits while drilling, I just thought that was kind of a neat idea. You could put oil in there and just push a little button. But they had these other ones that would go on top of your toolbox or workbench I thought also looked pretty good for small projects. Their files, I've used their files in the past. I still own some today. Look, their files are nice, you know. But what more do you really need? That's a file. You're going to use it to deburr a few things. Even these diamond bladed ones, these smaller ones, they're actually really nice to have, especially when it comes to like cross-threaded bolts that you can just kind of clean up a little bit if you don't have a rethread kit. I picked up some of these clips for timing belts because after I saw what Joey was able to do and how he's able to maintain the belt and keep it perfectly steady, I was like, I gotta get some. They're cheap enough, so I picked some up. So I mean, they're just great for timing belts. I have this style of C-clamp here at the house. I thought maybe I might get one more, but I was like, you know what, I don't need it today. They do sell them in 4-inch as well as 6-inch. These things have a quick release mechanism, so you can actually push the button, shove the thing up, or pull it back to you see fit, and then tighten. So you're not spending all day sitting there winding and winding and winding. I love their C-clips, man. They're really good. I thought about picking this up for the shop, but I was like, you know what, let me hold off. You know, let me see what next payday looks like. I don't want to spend all my money here at Harbor Freight. But we only have one and it's kind of breaking down, so I thought I might buy one for the shop just so we had two because we could always use another one. This, look at that thing that looks like a Mighty Vac, right? So that Mighty Vac thing's nice to have. I got these outside micrometers in the past. They were really nice. They actually held up and they were really close in comparison to the Fowler. I thought about picking them up today. I decided not to. I had them. I walked around with them in the car and I was like, I just don't need them today, you know? So I put them back on the shelf, but I'll probably go by and pick them up again. This thing was kind of gimmicky. It's a long 1/2-inch extension, but if you hold on to that piece in the middle that says Icon, it spins so you don't have to worry about, you know, ripping your glove to pieces if you're wearing gloves. A little gimmicky to me. You're gonna lose some torque behind that. Look at this pneumatic riveter though. So I have the Monster one, and for the price that I paid, I wanna say I paid about $30 or $40 less than how much this Chief one goes for. But it looks like a nice one. The grease gun, we have grease guns at work. The pneumatic ones are phenomenal to have. You don't have to sit there and constantly pump. You just squeeze the trigger, let air do all the work. These chisels for your pneumatic impact hammers, those things are great. I have them. They hold up. They hold up a lot better than the Matco ones. I don't know if the Matco ones are made out of a softer metal, but they're nice. Especially these tie rod adapters. They have a smaller one and they have a medium-sized one. Those tie rod separators are amazing. I don't really know much about their winches. Their winches did look pretty duty, but look at these nice LED off-road lights they have now. If I had a Jeep, dude, I'd be jumping all over these things. They just look so freaking cool, and I bet they're bright as hell too. If they're anything as like the Braun flashlights or better, man, that'd be nice to have that on the off-road rig for sure. I just can't help but walk by their toolboxes and look at the color. The Den of Tools actually has this full top and bottom 26-inch chest now, which I think is awesome. But yeah, they got some real pretty colors, man. So Shane has this full piece hammer set that's Pittsburgh. He's had it for a few years now. It keeps holding up. Look, their hammers are nice, dude. You guys are gonna love them. I haven't tried this brass hammer, but I keep eyeballing it every time I come in here. It looks really nice. You can get individual ball peens for like $6 to $8 too, which I think is actually a pretty fair price considering that you're just gonna be beating stuff with it. Their soft dead blows are nice. I've actually got a couple of these. I have one that's a Matco, but I have two Pittsburgh ones that hold up well, and we use them all the time at work. We're going to talk about DVOMs in another video, but I've had some questions and comments about certain multimeters and what I thought, and if I thought it was accurate, or can I trust, you know, a cheaper one over a more expensive one, and you should go with Fluke, and you should go with Ames, or you should go with Klein, or you should just get a Snap-on, or forget that, you should just buy a scope. And I'm like, Jesus, let's create a separate discussion topic about this later. All right, so these push pin pliers, these things are pretty nice. Look, for 10 bucks, I paid 30 for the Matco ones that didn't hold up. These ones are 10 bucks. I'm sure they're gonna have the same exact issue, but you're spending $20 less. Their 1/2-inch and 3/8 torque wrenches from Icon I think are awesome to have, especially as good starters. I would definitely trust them over the cheaper ones that they had below it. I don't care for these cheaper ones. They've had those for years. I've never owned one of those. They're just crap. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed walking around Harbor Freight with me, looking at some of the items that they have, trying to get a better idea of what it is that you'll be looking for come Memorial Day, because they're having a huge parking lot sale for the Memorial Day sales event. So if you guys didn't get a chance to flip through their catalog, hopefully you got a chance to kind of walk around or listen to me jibber jabber about certain things that they had that I liked and didn't like, and maybe it gives you a better idea of some things that you're missing or you want to add to your arsenal. Speaking of which, they have another upcoming sales event taking place June 7th, 8th, and 9th, and it looks like a lot of their prices are also being slashed again. So you might actually start considering, if you don't get a chance to make it down to Harbor Freight for this sell-a-thon, you might be able to make it to the next one that they're having here in the beginning of the month. Alright, so what did I actually pick up? I picked up these little tiny clips here. You guys might have seen them in the video, but they were only a couple of bucks. These things are actually really handy when it comes to doing timing belts, especially on Hondas. To give you, for instance, I had a Honda timing belt and water pump that I was doing earlier in the week, and it absolutely just kicked my butt. And one of those things that I was having a butt-kicking time with was the fact that I had nothing to hold the belt with. So I ended up using these monster vice grips that I had to kind of secure the belt to the camshaft sprocket. Again, you don't want to go uber tight with this, just kind of like lightly snug it down so it holds the belt in place. But even better than using something like a vice grip, which again, you got to be very careful when you're using things like that. But you can get these little tiny clips that really don't apply a whole heck of a lot of pressure, that will not damage the belt or the camshaft sprocket, but they hold just enough pressure to keep the belt in place so you can route the tension side and non-tension side down without the belt slipping or moving, or the camshaft slipping and running around. One of the other problems that I ran into was that I had ratchet wrenches, and I did have some short stubby combination wrenches, but I didn't have any non-ratcheting wrenches at work except for the extractor ones, which I wasn't planning on using to hold the camshaft bolt, just to get a little rotate, like one or two teeth out of it. Well, using the ratchet wrench, it slipped on me and it kind of pinched my finger. Joey came over to kind of help me out. Cam spun on him a couple times, got him real good in between the fingernail and his finger. It pinched me and left a little tiny blood mark. But one of the things that I was thinking about, I was like, you know what? A while back, there was a specific reason why I bought a Snap-on 3/8 comfort grip breaker bar, and it was specifically for this purpose. Not having really had to do too many more timing belts or timing belt water pump jobs for almost a year, I had forgotten what I did with it, and then I remembered, that's right, I did give it away during a live stream to Bearded Yakin. I couldn't recall what it was that I had bought it for, and didn't understand what it was that I had used it for. I think I just kind of forgotten, because it had been that long since I did a timing belt job where I actually needed to do that. Most of the things that I get that come in are usually chain driven, so I was like, I'll pick up one of these nice new Nikon breaker bars, and that should be able to hold things in place, or at least I can manipulate the camshaft one way or the other without it spinning in the ratchet wrench, or without it slipping and going with the ratchet and flying to the other side. So I'm going to be giving this a shot. You guys said that these things are actually pretty good. Got a lot of guys say, when would you ever use a 3/8 breaker bar or a 1/4 inch breaker bar for setting timing on timing belt jobs? So that's one of those handy tools that you are actually going to run into, that you are going to need at some point. Just food for thought. Something else that I ran into earlier this week that I didn't think I was ever going to have a dire need for, that I hadn't used since I was at the dealership, and I did recall which one I actually had. I had upgraded from the Pittsburgh to a Snap-on oil pressure gauge. The oil pressure gauge I had gotten from Snap-on was actually a used tool on sale on the tool truck. I think I scored it for like 80 bucks or something like that. I thought it was a pretty good deal at the time, so I jumped on it. Later down the road, I think I went on and I ended up selling it and getting rid of it. But this last week, I ran into a situation where we had an oil pressure issue that a customer's complaint was. And he was worried that he was getting lack of pressure and wasn't sure if it was because of his lack of maintenance. So he wanted us to check the oil pressure for him and verify that everything was still on the up and up. Well, to start things off with, I went underneath the car with nothing more than a DVOM of some kind to verify that I had power and ground, and that I was seeing what I was seeing using the scope. Or not scope, I'm sorry, my scan tool. Because my scan tool would say 0, and I needed to verify that. So I took this tool, and I decided to go ahead and start backpin probing the actual connector and sensor. I found that I had a power, but I did not have a ground. So I decided to go up and unplug the connector, and then wouldn't you know it, half the sensor came off with it. So the sensor was broke. Needless to say, I didn't need to do a mechanical engine oil pressure test to determine the root cause. So we got a new sensor, put it in, put the connection back together. Next thing you know, we had power ground, we had oil pressure again. So, bada bing, bada boom. Real quick, down and easy. Luckily, that's all it needed. And it wasn't because of his lack of maintenance. And I don't really think he was that bad at his maintenance. Maybe he might go 1,000 miles past due, but it's whatever. What did I decide to pick up for the last item from Harbor Freight? An oil pressure test gauge set. Because I didn't have one at work. And I was like, hey man, I had the Harbor Freight one before. It was a phenomenal kit. I gave it away on a live stream. Then I bought a Snap-on one. Then I went over a year without using it. So I sold it. Now here I need it again. I guess, long story, short story, don't sell stuff that you might need later down the road. You never know when you're going to need it. I know. Preaching to the choir, right? Okay. Any rate, so I picked this up. We're going to take a closer look at this a little bit later on, but I figured I'd wrap this video up because I'm sure it's already a little bit long, and I didn't mean to drag things out. Thanks as always for watching my channel. If you guys liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. Share if you want to share. I hope you guys get to find some super handy things over at the Harbor Freight Memorial Day sales lot event. Thanks as always for watching. See you guys next time. Deuces.